Hey, what's going on, people? Y'all know who this is. For some reason, it looks like my video is lagging a little bit, but whatever, we'll get through it. Anyway, I know it's been a week since draft weekend. It's the only time I really got because of my work schedule, but I just wanted to talk about this 49ers draft real quick. And before I get into our draft picks, I just want to say that I think this is the greatest 49ers draft ever because it has so many Niner fans crying like babies. Oh my God, this is fucking hilarious. Well, the 49ers didn't draft off consensus. They didn't go by who the media told them to draft. So now we're going to hate it. If the media says it, then it's got to be right because the media knows all these teams' big boards and how they're lined up, right? So I got a question for y'all. Is Dane Brugler part of this consensus? You know, I mean, the guy did make a draft guide called The Beast. I mean, this thing's as big as a goddamn old school phone book. So he put a lot of time into these players. And I'm going to use our first pick that we took, the wide receiver. A lot of people say he was drafted too early, way too early. But Dane Brugler, I believe he has his own podcast. He was on there, and this is before the draft, and said that he was hearing and he'd been talking to teams around the league. That's the only way he'd been hearing this. And that behind the scenes, they were a lot higher on Deshaun Stribling. Multiple teams, a lot higher on Deshaun Stribling than the media was. And he said Deshaun Stribling would go in the top 64, which means day 2. He didn't know how high. He just knew he'd go in the top 64. And people are butthurt, oh, why didn't the Niners trade back to get Deshaun Stribling? Well, because if there was multiple teams interested in this guy, then them trading back a few spots could cost them the wide receiver that they wanted. They trade back, somebody trades up and jumps them and takes Stribling. You know, so them taking Stribling in the second, not a problem with me. I'm glad they didn't go by consensus. And I could give two fucks what the numbers show and over the last 5 years and they're reaching too much. You know what? I went into this draft. I'm like, hey, I'm going to watch this draft. I'm going to see what happens. I'm not going to make a big fucking deal about it. Third round running back, that didn't shock me at all because it's what we do. It's just what we do. And then I hear people saying how we draft so bad and stuff like that and all this other crap. Well, I got a couple questions. Well, if we draft so bad, how did we get to 12-5 last year? Because a lot of our depth and a lot of last year's draft class had to play a lot of fucking snaps because we had so many injuries. We were calling linebackers off the street to come play for us. That's how bad it was. So I don't want to hear shit about this team doesn't have depth. The way Niner fans are almost making it sound is our depth has to be Pro Bowl players behind the starters. That's not going to happen on anybody's roster because that just costs too much money. There's this thing called the salary cap. You know. The Niners are, they've built this team over the last few decades. Yeah, we haven't won the Super Bowl yet. I get that. But Jesus fucking Christ, you guys would act like we're the fucking New York Jets or some shit. And I get it. You're passionate fans, you're invested in all this other shit. Same here. But just because your team doesn't draft to what the media says or what you get in your mock drafts and things like that, that doesn't mean they fucked up. So I get it. And another thing a lot of people are butthurt about is we didn't get a safety and things like that. I get it. Maybe the new DC likes what he sees in Siegel, and he's going to be our free safety. Remember, we got a new secondaries coach, and our new DC is a secondary guy himself. So we'll see how much improved the secondary is and things like that. But yeah, it's just, I'm just saying, relax a little bit, folks. I could give two shits what the consensus says. Me personally. I mean, you could go off what the media says all you want, but look, people of this media like Mel Kiper and shit like that, Mel Kiper's wrong all the fucking time. And that's part of the media. So, but yeah, so let me get into these draft picks. I don't want to spend too much time on this consensus crap and the draft hate and stuff like that. Hey, cool, people hate us. I don't give a fuck. I really don't, to be honest with you. I could care less, honestly. I like quite a few of these players. Could they have gotten them in different spots? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know because we don't know what other teams were thinking. I don't give a fuck what the consensus said. We don't know what other teams were thinking. So our first pick was wide receiver at Ole Miss. He started his college career at Washington State. And then transferred to Oklahoma State, where his first year at Oak State, he had a wrist injury and missed the season. And then his second year, he came in and put up over 800 yards. One thing I've heard people say about De'Zhaun Stribling, he's a 6'2". He weighs like 207. He's a 4.36 guy. So he's got the speed, he's got the size. He needs to refine his route running, which I'm fine with. Work on it. It's not that difficult, just work on it, get it a little bit refined, but he does know how to get separation. He uses speed good. He plays at 4.3. But I've heard a lot of people say, well, the guy can only run a couple routes and you know, he doesn't know a lot of the route tree and stuff like that. And I'm like, if you look at just as Ole Miss tape, yes, that's true. That's what it looks like. But you got to go back and look at his Oklahoma State tape. Because they ran a different type of offense than Ole Miss, and he was asked to do different routes. The digs over the middle and things like that. You know, the routes the Niners like, those in-breaking routes, things like that. The Debo routes, basically. You know, just the Debo digs to the inside and shit like that. But he knows how to do all that. So, is he a finished product? No. None of these draft prospects are finished products. So yeah, I am, you know, and I wasn't surprised we went receiver with our first pick, because I was thinking that the Niners with their first pick were going to go defense or wide receiver first. I didn't know the order, but it was going to be either defense or wide receiver. And it was wide receiver first. And I think we got a pretty good wide receiver. I really do. You know, he shot up draft boards late. People got on him late for some reason. I don't know. I mean, hell, the guy was turning down 30 visits because he had so goddamn many of them so fucking fast. That's how quick he rose up draft boards toward, like within the last week of the draft. You know, he was a really late riser, and a lot of teams liked him. So, you know, we'll see what happens at camp, but I like it. Dijon, welcome to the Niners. And with that, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I don't want to be on here speaking for an hour to y'all. But so with our next pick, number 70, this was from a trade. We traded back because we didn't have the 70th pick. We would have had 53 was our second pick, but we traded out of the first round, or traded back in the first round twice. So that's how we ended up with 33. Our first pick was a second round pick. Our next pick was the pass rusher out of Texas Tech. It was Romello Height, a speed rusher off the edge. I believe he's 6'3", about 240. Speed rusher off the edge, which is what we needed. We've needed a speed rusher that could get to the quarterback. He played on a really good line in Texas Tech, and you know, he had David Bailey, the number 2 overall pick, on the other side of him. He had a couple other guys on that D line that were drafted also. So, and he was still able to put up 10 sacks and looked really good. So I like the way he rushes the passer. He's got a bunch of different moves. He has a pass rush plan. He's got counters, things like that. So he knows how to get to the quarterback. So I like this. I think this is going to help us on passing downs and things like that. And one of the other draft picks I'll talk about later, this is going to give us variety in our D line, and we're not going to have the same type of person on the D line. So let's see who's next. Here we go. And the third pick, the one that really got everybody up in arms, because we took him in the top 100 at pick 90. Running back, Kalon Black out of Indiana. I don't have a problem with this pick. I mean, where the position it's at, whatever. You know, yeah, it was at a reach, sure. It's a third round running back, of course. You know, but one thing I don't understand is I've heard some Niner fans say they'd have still been a little upset, but they wouldn't have been as mad if the Niners took someone like I believe it was Mike Washington, the running back out of Arkansas, because he's faster. I'd have more of a problem taking him than I do with them taking Kalon Black, because he has ball security issues. He puts the ball on the carpet too much. I am not a fan of running backs that fumble the fucking football a lot. That's why Garendo fell out of favor so goddamn fast. From what I've heard, there was a practice last year where right before we traded for Robinson, the Garendo fumbled 3 times in one practice. You know, Niners don't like that shit. They don't want running backs putting a ball on the carpet. So Kalon Black's a really good runner. Had over 1,000 yards last year. Him and Hemby were the only running back duo in the nation, I do believe, that were both 1,000-yard backs. I hear people say he can't catch out of the backfield. Why? Because Indiana didn't use him that way? At a JMU, I think he caught like 40 passes or something like that. He can catch out of the backfield. And if you would have listened to Kalon Black speak when he spoke to the media after he got drafted, they asked him about his receiving ability out of the backfield. And they brought up he didn't do it much in Indiana. And Kalon Black said the reason for that was it was a scheme thing. They schemed it out of the offense because he said they had really good receivers there and they wanted Mendoza to throw the ball. So they relied more in the passing game. They relied more on their wide receivers than, you know, the running backs and stuff like that. He's also a really good pass protector. So as far as the player goes, don't have an issue. I think Kalon Black's a good running back. We'll see how much time he gets. If Kyle Shanahan holds up to his word and says where he wanted McCaffrey to have more help, we'll see Kalon. I'm hoping they go by committee and we'll see Kalon Black and I'm forgetting it. Oh, Jordan James that we drafted last year. Give more run this year. But we'll have to see. You know. So yeah, but I get it. I understand why everybody's upset. We took him at pick 90 in the top 100. Could that pick have gone somewhere else? Sure. I'm not going to disagree with that. But at the same time, I'm not going to blow a fucking head gasket over it. You know, like I said, when they made the pick, I just kind of said, well, that's the 49ers for you. So, yeah, that's pick number 3. And then we get into the 4th round. And the position kind of surprised me when we took Grayson Halton, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's what, 6'2", 6'3", kind of undersized for a D tackle, almost 300 pounds. Very athletic, very quick. He shoots upfield. I've seen him shoot double teams. He had a really good run stop percentage last year. He was like number 2 or number 3 in all D tackles in college football and pressure percentage. He knows how to get to the quarterback. So I like this. I think he's gonna He's going to add some interior rush to that D line. And with him and height, this is what I was talking about earlier, how they bring something different. Now all our D tackles aren't just these huge guys that plug holes and play the run. And if you get a sack or two out of them every now and then, cool, that's a bonus. But now we got guys that will collapse the pocket more and get to the quarterback. With him and Osa, and when they kick Mikael Williams inside. So I like it. I am a fan. And I think Grayson Halton's going to be really, really good. And then our next pick was Carver Willis, pick 127, tackle out of Washington. I mean, when they announced the pick, they called him a guard, which he's probably going to play for us. I don't know. I mean, to me, he seems too light. This wasn't my favorite pick. I mean, I get it. We went O-line. Everybody wanted us to go O-line. Everybody was wanting us to go O-line early. Look, this offseason, the 49ers have added 5 pieces on the offensive line. 3 in free agency and 2 through the draft. That's not enough for 49er fans. They're still mad. We didn't address the O-line. We didn't do enough. Blah, blah, blah. Do you want us to invest every single high pick we got in the O-line? And then what happens when those guys bust? Then you're going to say, oh, no, the Niners draft the wrong players. Why'd they use such high picks to address the O-line? Now the O-line sucks. Now we got to go do it again and blah, 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 blah. Do we need a left guard? Sure. Do we probably already have one? Probably. It's probably one of the guys we signed in free agency. Could Carver Willis make the practice squad and develop? Possibly. Could he make the active roster? Possibly. We'll have to see what he looks like in camp. But he's definitely not a tackle at the NFL level. There's no fucking way. No fucking way. He'll get embarrassed as a tackle at the NFL level. So we'll see what he does in camp. I heard there's talk he could possibly compete for backup center, possible center. I'm just hoping they don't re-sign Jake Brendel so that way we can get a new center in here. So yeah, Carver Willis, not my favorite. And then we went and added a really big, athletic, 6'4", 4.4 speed corner. Ephesians Prysock, also out of Washington. I think the kid's pretty good. We'll just have to see how he fits in. We have all our starters set in, as far as DBs go. And we're still not sure how this defense is going to look, because it is going to change a bit. I think we're going to run more 5-man fronts. We're going to do all kinds of different things with this defense. So, who knows? Maybe we can move Prysock into safety. But we'll have to see what Renardo Green comes out looking like too. I think this could be them hedging their bets, because if Renardo Green, I like him. I like Renardo. But I think if Renardo comes out and starts the season, he's not looking the greatest or playing the greatest, that's where Prysock, I think, comes in. And this could be them hedging their bets on that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Renardo's going to be fine out there. So we'll see. But adding to the secondary never hurts. Sorry, it's kind of late. So I wasn't mad about that. Um, Probably my favorite pick is our next pick, and the reason is because of what I think could happen with this guy, Jaden Duggar, 6'5" linebacker out of Louisiana Lafayette, Raging Cajuns. This guy is really interesting because he played safety, he's played edge rusher, and last year he was mainly middle backer. That's why he had like 126 tackles. I think this guy could play a like a rover type role for us. He could do a bunch of different things in the defense. He's got the length. He's got like an 84, 85 inch wingspan. So he's got the long arms to go with that frame. He's athletic enough to play back or sideline to sideline if need be. I really think that Jaden Duggar can do a lot of different things and can be a little chess piece where you move around on the defense. It's going to be interesting in camp with this guy to see what they do with him and how they're going to employ him and what they have him doing in camp. Fucking tired for some reason. But yeah. And you bring him into a linebacker room where you're learning from all pro Fred and Dre, so he couldn't have fallen into a better situation. So, but yeah, this guy was my favorite pick just because of the possibilities that Raheem Morris could use this guy for, especially since Raheem Morris is going to be running a little more of a hybrid type defenses. There's probably times our base will be a 3-4 or look like a 3-4 when it's really not. It'll be the 4-3. We'll run some 5-man fronts. It's going to be, we're going to get different looks a lot on this defense. And I think Jaden Duggar, if he comes along quick enough, in his rookie year could play a role in that. I really think so. I really like this pick. I don't give a shit if people say it was a reach. I really don't give a shit. And then our last pick, we went O-line again, 5th round, because that was our last pick. And so Enrique Cruz Jr., tackle out of Kansas. Big dude, super duper athletic. He scored like a 9.99 in the RAS out of a 10. So super, super athletic. I've heard people say maybe a guard for him at the NFL level. I don't think so. I think he can stay at tackle. Because I'm not sure if that's what they drafted him for. Then what I think is going to happen is I think Verdarian Lowe is going to be the backup to Trent Williams, and Enrique Cruz might be a backup right tackle to McKivitz. And they're not going to have a straight swing tackle. So I'm not sure though. Veridian could be our swing tackle, or Verdarian Lowe could be our swing tackle. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And that's it for our draft class. Like I said, I am not making a big deal about it. There's players I like in here. I just have to say I'm not a fan of the Willis pick of all of them. Other than that, I don't have a problem with anybody we drafted outside of Willis. And we'll just have to see. But just chill, Niner fans. Let these players get out there, play. We'll see what happens. And now, let me talk about our UDFA class real quick. There's some intriguing guys on here. Maybe some can have some playing time this year. We'll see. We got a punter, Meister, however the hell you say that, out of Texas. A tight end Dinkins out of Penn State. I think he can see the field because of our depth at tight end right now. With Kittle hurt. I'm not expecting Kittle back week 1, so. Then we picked up a D tackle, Eason from Tennessee. 2 more wide receivers. We got Grimes at NC State, Pauling at Notre Dame. A safety, Jalen Strong out of Notre Dame. When I looked at his stuff, he looked more like a box safety in me. So I think that's overkill. Another D tackle, Thompson out of Illinois, and then a DN pass rusher, Khalil Kamara out of Indiana. So we'll see what happens at camp with these UDFAs. I don't have too much on them, but that's really all I got. I just wanted to come on here, give a quick overview, my thoughts, and just relax a little bit, Niner fans. I get the outrage, I get the uproar, and it is what it is. That's just the Niners process, and that's how we're going to do things. So that's all I got. And don't forget, support veteran-owned businesses, and I'm out.